welcome back to another in our series of Webequie Supply Road live streaming sessions. My name is Don Parkinson, and I'll be your host for this and other streaming sessions to be done over the next few weeks, running to early December, focusing on preliminary observations from the baseline studies for the environmental assessment, and then moving on to other topics that will hopefully be of interest to our viewers and listeners. And just to remind everyone, the intent of the shows is to keep community members and the general public up to date with what's going on the environmental assessment. We hope these sessions will encourage open, thoughtful, and informed discussion that will help make the environmental assessment as comprehensive or as good as possible. This week, we have been privileged to have a special guest, and maybe one that you know. His name is Ron Kanutski, and Ron is a true Renaissance man, if I may say so myself. He's a comedian, he's an MC, vocalist, storyteller, Ojibwe cultural teacher, group facilitator, as well as a Native American flute and drum player. And that's a lot of hats to wear, and I don't think he wears them all at the same time because that would be pretty tricky. But Ron, welcome to the show. And
Thanks.
it's a real treat to have you here, Ron. This is great. You and I did the radio show a little bit earlier today and had a great time, and it was really entertaining. And tell me how you sort of came to become so good at so many different things, Ron.
I don't know if I'm really good at anything. I just do things, and my biggest, I guess my biggest struggle in life has always been is I wanted to be really good at something, but I always seem to plateau. I hit a certain point and I can't get any further. So it's like, okay, I'm jumping ship. I got to do something else. Okay, if I can't win the cup at this, and I've been doing that since I was little. The first thing I was going to become when I was young is I was going to be a cowboy. And then one day my mom told me, you can't be a cowboy. You got to take those guns and that cowboy hat off because you're an Indian. And I was like, no, I want to be a cowboy, but I was denied. So, and it's been like that all the way through my life. I've been just moving into other things. I was going to become an astronaut, and then I realized I was afraid of space. So that was instantly out. And then, of course, like many of us, we all thought we were going to play in the NHL. And by about grade 6, the rest of the guys were over the blue line, and I was still behind the net, catching my breath. And I realized, yeah, okay, this isn't going to happen. And then I thought maybe soccer, because there wasn't that many good players in Canada. Now everybody sort of has immigrated here, and we got really good soccer players here now. So that's not happening. So I just kept grabbing at things till there was, a few things left that I could do. I took trades in high school and realized, positive and negative. You don't touch them on your forehead when it's plugged into something with power. There's just certain things you can't do, unfortunately I found out the hard way. So I just got stuck with a couple of things that, I can get by with. I've kind of learned in my life that you can be a rusty penny, but if you surround yourself with shiny silver, you can come out looking pretty good. So that's kind of how I've got by in this
I
world.
second that, Ron. Ron,
That's right.
if I could talk briefly about myself, I've learned, unlike yourself, who's constantly searching for excellence, I've embraced mediocrity, Ron. I'm a consultant, you know. Hey, does it get any more mediocre than that, Ron? And I've
Yeah,
just
well,
stayed in the same thing. I haven't evolved at all. There's no depth to me whatsoever. You have depth. Look at
you
you.
know,
You're a
is
five
that
tool player. I got one
is,
tool. I'm a consultant.
uh, actually, if you would have investigated me, you would have seen I'm actually a sole proprietor of With Care Consulting. That's what I did, and I just kind of threw all those other things into it. I'm a consultant, but I also can do this, and this. Just don't call me for drywall or electrical or plumbing or anything that involves problem solving, because I can't do it. So don't call me for these things, but
Especially
sing a
the
few.
electrical, because it sounds like you had a bit of a bad experience with
Yeah, you can
electricity, eh?
really light yourself up on that one. You got to be really careful. Electricity is dangerous. That and climbing ladders. I've learned that climbing a ladder, mind you, I'm 240 pounds. Stay off the ladder. That's an accident waiting to happen on a multitude of levels. But you can't have someone like me coming off that ladder, because I'm not only going to harm myself, I'm going to harm whatever I hit. There's going to be a lot of damage done. I fall onto a sedan on the roof or whatever. That's it. The cars are right off. It's a mess. So I just, yeah, I'm very mediocre in life. I don't chase things too much as everybody seems to think like I'm really out there giving her. Things just kind of blow in the wind to me. I don't try very hard in life. I just try to be happy and just let things come my way. And
Yeah.
some people are like, I have to get this next event. I have to play at this place. I have to meet this person. I have to. Nah, you don't have to do anything. Just go, and things happen as you're going. You just run into people, and
I was
and
gonna
it,
s- I was gonna
it's
say, Ron, like, and you know what? I that leads me to my next question for you. And as a comedian, you travel to a lot of different places. You meet a lot of different people. Um, have you met any famous people in your life? And if you have, do you have any good stories from those, Ron?
Oh man, you know what? There's so many cool people. I could probably just do honorable mentions at this part and do shout outs. I know in our last visit on the radio, we talked about Gilbert Gottfried, which is really memorable for me. Eddie Griffin was a riot to meet. Jim Jeffries was amazing in
Yeah,
Minneapolis. That was a lot of fun, and he told us a story about Thunder Bay, and it was very exciting. He's just telling us what happened over here when he was, almost getting arrested and everything because he was up to no good, and it was just hilarious. Comedians are great people to put a smile on your face, but when they're done their show and you meet them, they're just everyday kind of guys that the show stops and they just get real, and you get to see them for who they are. Um, I've met a multitude of musicians I'm just amazed at the people. All my heroes from when I was growing up, I'm getting to meet them now. Or work with them. I've
amazing.
actually shared stage with different groups and performers, and that's been exciting. Seeing some of your childhood heroes and getting to perform the same night as them or on the same bill. It's pretty exciting. But you think that you're going to be getting a chance to hang out with them and you're going to do all these great things, but no, everybody's at work. There's no time
Yeah,
to visit. Like they're going to do meet and greets. They're meeting fans. They're getting pictures taken. They're basically, I get off the stage, walk by, and I go, have a good one. They go, great set, and that's it. That's the interaction. It's like they're
yeah,
we're clocking in, I'm clocking out. And the only thing is, I get to run around out into the audience or on the side and watch the show after. So I get to win at least that because I go first.
yes, that's right.
I get to see really cool people do their thing, right? And but it's my family that reaps the rewards. They're the ones that are signing, getting autographs, signing, getting pictures with them, and it's like I've worked with people. I was like, I didn't even get to really talk to them. I was like, hey, that's it. That was. They go, hey, did you meet so and so? Yeah, we just said hey, and we walked by each other because that's it. There's no time. And a lot of the guys that are my heroes now are old, so when they get off the stage, it's like I'm going home or I'm going to the bus. There's no party or visit or it's
Yeah.
over. It's like we're done. They just go and they just want to go lay down. And it's not like
Well, you
when you go.
travel around a lot too, Ron.
Yeah, I love traveling. Traveling is amazing. And I would spend more time in Nan territory, but they got to bring the prices down. Holy cow!
I
It's
know.
steep,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
kind of like Fort Severn, $4,000, London, England,
Yeah.
1,500. I'm kind of like, mm,
Yeah, that's right.
I know. I feel bad. Isn't that terrible? It's terrible. So I'm going to choose
It is terrible. Yeah.
go to a foreign nation instead of visit my own homeland or visit my northern neighborhood. But it's like, holy cow, you got to have a lot of money to start traveling around in the north. If enough, I'm not getting paid to work somewhere. It's like I can't afford to go. I
Yeah.
can't even afford the flight, let alone the hotel room when I get there. Like and you roll it
Exactly.
one hotel, 4 bedrooms, and if you don't get it, you know, I don't know where we're
Yep.
sleeping. We're at the airport. I don't know where are we staying tonight. It's like somebody's house. You're down at the northern store begging, for someone to take you in for the night, and that's $200. They shake you down
That's
and
right.
I'm staying in my house for free, buddy. I'm not staying in my. This isn't a hotel. This
Well,
is a cabin.
I bet you've been stranded in communities before.
Woo! Oh yeah, I've spent some time. I think the
I think
longest
that's
one.
where you got your start in comedy, wasn't it? Based on
Yeah,
being stranded in a
yeah,
community.
stranded in Summer Beaver. Yeah. And I shouldn't say stranded. I was there working and we just stayed a little extra longer. I won't say stranded. It's just the weather
Yeah.
held me back a little bit. Saying stranded sounds like it was a really bad experience. It really
Yeah,
wasn't.
that's true.
I
Yeah.
had an expectation that I was getting out to get Kentucky Fried Chicken that night. And I was like, nope, we're eating canned beans tonight. That's what we're having in Bannock. That's what we're going to be having tonight. So it's just, you just got to adjust with the menu. That's all.
I
It's all
remember
good.
one time, Ron, we were getting ready to leave a community. I don't know if it was Nescandiga or Nebenomic, and it was starting to get a bit foggy. And the guy I worked with was getting worked up because he really wanted to get back home, eh? And so I remember one of the community leaders was having some fun with him because he was like, "Well, looks like the fog's too bad. There's no way on earth this plane's going to take off tonight." Really winding him up, eh, Ron? Like he was
Yeah.
petrified. He's like, "Oh, well, where are we going to stay? There's no hotel here. Where are we going to stay?" And he kept milking it. So he kept saying, "Well, you can sleep in my living room. I mean, I've got a spot on the living room floor if you like, and I've got blankets and stuff like that." And he kept winding him up, Ron. And I tell you, like he took it as far as he could because the other guy was just so panicked. He thought the world was ending, right? And needless to say, we got away that night. But
Well,
I tell you, I
it's tough sometimes when you fly in the north. You are at the mercy of the weather,
yep.
and for the longest time, Wasaya, if it wasn't sunshine with no wind, they wouldn't take any risks. It was like, oh, wait a second, there's a small breeze coming from the north, and there's potentially rain coming, so we're gonna have to shut this down. And it was like, no, and right away you'd call Bearskin Air because they'll fly in anything. They didn't care back then. The tire fell off. We're going in. It doesn't matter. They just come and get you anyways. I love bearskin air. Like people make fun of bearskin air sometimes, but I'll tell you, they've showed up. The door falls off the plane. It doesn't matter. They're coming to get you. They'll keep that door on and they come and pick you up. So God bless them. I love bearskin air. Perimeter.
That
They got a new. That's when you know something's going on when they change their name. It's like we're going to change the plane name here because, but
that's right.
yeah, when your nickname is Scareskin, you know something's up. But I
Yeah.
love Bearskin Air. They've got me into things when I thought I'm not getting out, and they're like, if you can handle it and you can keep that bag up to your mouth and not make a mess on the plane, we'll get you to town. I said, all right, bye. Let's do this. It's like a 2-hour Disney ride. We're just getting on there and just okay, let's do this. We're going in, going
I
home.
remember one time being in a community. It must not have been my day because I woke up in the morning, went to take it. We were in the motel, which was a few trailers strung together, as you
Yeah.
probably been in before. And so I go in to take a shower and I reach for the hot water knob and it comes off in my hand. So I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, geez, okay, that's a challenge. Anyway, so I finished the shower and then later in the same day, we returned back to the motel. I guess it was at night, and I reached to turn the doorknob on the front door of the motel, and it comes off in my hand too.
Yeah.
So
That's one thing you gotta learn is when you're flying around. I always have a pair of vice grips with you. You gotta have those old vice grips. We call them vice grips up in the north, but when the elders call it, get a pair of vice grips, and then you just lock on to whatever needs to happen to turn, and then you're set. Just carry small vice grips with you all the time. But
just small
yeah,
repairs. You just have to have some small
be
repair
ready.
skills, and you're going to be fine, right?
Bring a little toolkit of screws and things, and you can get things mended up, and that you're back in business. Yeah,
Absolutely.
all being
Well,
prepared. Yeah,
exactly. Well, Ron, today we're going to talk a bit about like our project fish and fish habitat
yeah,
baseline studies, and these are really important studies because they help us figure out the way things are now before the project goes ahead. Um, Maybe you can tell us a bit about uh, your experiences fishing growing up. I'm sure you did a lot of fishing. I think
yeah.
you spent a lot of time outdoors when you were younger, I think. And can you tell us or share with us some good fishing stories?
Well, I think the thing about fishing is it's about first it's about food, right? It's a food source, and then the other
Yep.
part is the connection to family and to friends.
Yes.
So the bonding that happens with that, probably the healing and wellness that comes from being outside. Like nowadays, everybody's going on. The big buzzword that's out there right now is like in land-based programming. We need money for land-based programming. When I was growing up,
Yep.
my grandfather called that "get outside." That's what it was called. There was no fancy term for aguching, machan, get going, get outside, and play. Don't come back until the sun comes down. I'll call you for dinner. Get outside and just connect. And sometimes I used to think that did parents want us just out of the way, but I don't think so. Parents and grandparents wanted us to connect with the land, and the only way you can do that is you got to get put outside, and you can
Yep.
really see how unwell it is now because people are stuck in devices.
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah.
how do I catch fish? I'll go on the fishing app. It's like, holy cow, get off the phone
Yep.
already. And I have a little girl that does that, and I was saying that earlier in our last talk. My little girl loves outside, and she's
Yep.
8 years old. Riley Cook is her name. She loves outdoors and she has fun. She loves the outdoors. She loves fishing and she's very, very good at it. And the more experience that she has doing it, and the more experience she comes, and then can I drive the boat? She wants to get more involved, and that's how you learn things. And then maybe something
Yeah.
goes on the computer, so you take the top off and you have a look at we know maybe that we gotta check something out
Yep.
with the fuel line, or you're learning stuff while you're out there, right? It's an educational process. There's lots going on when you're out on the land and you're out on the water. And if there's anything I think that I'd like to share, and I know I was the last time we talked about funny stories about me doing something inappropriate, and while we were fishing. But I think if there's anything that I'd love to bring out was the fact that I was always taught to respect the water, number one, because
Yeah.
it's powerful, and it can take your life if you're messing around. You can get hurt. You can get badly hurt when you're on the water if you're not careful. Whether you're crossing a lake, playing around rapids, or whatever. The second part is to respect everything that lives in it. Um,
Yes.
right from when I was small, I used to really get upset if I seen somebody throwing something in the lake, beer bottles, breaking glass.
Hmm.
Even when I was small, I was like, I want to punch that person. You're so
Yep.
ignorant. You're throwing garbage in the water. And they do it all over the world. They take barges out into the ocean and they dump it out there, thinking it's never gonna. It's so immense. We're never gonna see this. And now this garbage is just blowing up on the shore, and there's trash everywhere. It's killing species of fish. It's a nightmare. And if there's anything that I was taught growing up is respect the water, respect the things that live in it. Don't take more than you need. It's fun to catch 200 or 300 fish. You don't need that much. Respect,
Yes.
respect what you
Yep.
have so that you go there tomorrow and eat tomorrow. But I've seen so much of this of just taking as
Yep.
opposed to need. And if that's a message I want to send to all nations of people. You don't need to keep taking. Just it's what you need. Don't just keep taking more than you need. And since we got these freezers nowadays, and people are just filling freezers up to the top, and then we get people that are selling. We're getting into selling stuff and all that. And I know times are tough, and we want to try and make a couple extra bucks here and there. But I was mentioning to you earlier how I've seen lakes in the United States. People are sitting in meetings having arguments. Oh, the Anishinaabe are netting and spearing too many fish. The anglers are taking too many fish and they're poaching. Nobody wants to change their ways. End result: lake fished out. There you go. Who won that one?
Yep.
And yeah, well,
Yep.
everyone's yelling. I have rights. Well, I'm an angler. I have rights. The fish have rights too. And if you take all the fish, we lose. Everybody loses. The fish are gone and nobody eats fish. Problem. Now we got a problem, right? So now we're trying to figure out how do I get fish from that lake over to this lake, and we'll try and feed this lake and bring it back to life. And if we just
Exactly.
if we respected it in the first place, we would have them there for tomorrow. And that's something I live
That's a
by.
great point, Ron.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it's funny because Ron, this project that we're working on, the proponent of the project, sort of the owner of the project, is a First Nation, right? It's their project. They're
nice.
behind this. And the way they presenting this is, yeah, they have to go through a process like an environmental assessment, which is a government directed process, and an impact assessment, which is a federal government directed process. But they also have their own process, internal process within the community, because in the end, that's their homeland, right? And
Right.
they're the stewards, they're the caretakers of their land. And what you brought up is a great point, because we can go through this process and identify potential impacts, and it can get approved by the government and project can go ahead. But in the end, the community members, this is their homeland, and they want to protect it, and they want to make sure they're comfortable with this project going ahead. And that's why we're here today, to share information, to talk about the project. And by the way, if anybody has any comments or questions for myself or Ron, they can call us at 1-844-424-0500. No debt related questions for Ron. No calls about past relationships, and no calls about anything from 30 years ago.
There you go.
We set those ground rules, didn't we, Ron, earlier?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we got to stick with that. And
So do you
no
think we'll
marriage.
get any calls after we put those rules in place?
No, now that those boundaries are in place, the phone lines are dead. It's going to be, and I wanted to add too, I'm really glad that you guys are doing this study, because the other part I think that we really need to take a look at, especially when we're crossing waterways and things. We have one tanker truck or somebody drops chemical or
Yep.
diesel fuel in the water. That wow, you can do
Yep.
so much damage, and I'm really glad that First Nations are doing this and really trying to keep an eye on things. We even have people that want to start sending their garbage. They want to send their garbage from down south and bury it up here in the north, and it's like, no way. This is this
Hmm.
is uh this is uh this is fresh water. Everything's pristine here. Don't start sending your nuclear waste and everything else up here. You work with that stuff. You keep that stuff. Don't be bringing it into our territory and polluting here. So, we used to have clean drinking water. Unfortunately, that barrel leaked over there and went into the water table and actually spread a lot quicker than the scientists said. So somebody lied on that one, and now the whole chain of lakes, no one can drink out of there, and so on and so forth. I don't buy anything that anybody tries to sell anymore. It's like, if we have something, let's take care of it and protect it. Don't bring anything in here that's going to create risk. Keep it out. Let's take care of what we have here. We're one of the few places with fresh drinking water, and we're starting to see in some of our lakes that's changing, rapidly
Yeah.
changing. Right? Everybody thought, oh, nothing could. It's Lake Superior. It's so big, nothing will happen. Look at now. You can't dump stuff into water and then expect it to remain pristine. Even my great grandmother knew that. My great grandmother stood over a flush toilet, going, "Where does that go?" She asks in
Hmm.
Ojibwe. It goes to the treatment plant and then into the lake. And my grandmother said in Ojibwe, my great grandma said in Ojibwe, translation, you don't poop where you drink. Case closed. And I was like, yep, that makes sense to me. And she looked at everybody else like everyone was nuts, like, but we're going to poo in here and flush this in and it's going to go back to the lake. How? Wait, takes her toilet paper, going to the outhouse. And that's how she respects the water. It's like, I'm not going in here on here. This has got repercussions. Maybe not today, not
Yep.
tomorrow, but we got problems, for our great grandchildren and so on and so forth. She's like, no, 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 no. That's why you go outside. That's what you're supposed to do, but everyone wants to be comfortable and sit in the warmth and read your book or do your texts and sit and then just flush and watch it go away. And it's like it magically went somewhere special. Yeah, to our drinking
Somewhere
water.
it's meant.
Yeah, boy, why does water taste so bad? Because we got a lot of chlorine in it. I wonder why that is. You know, the people downstream from us it's even worse. It's like if you're at the top of the river, it's fine. Where's it going? Yeah, that way. The poor guys down there are the ones that are going to be drinking it. More chlorine for you. Come on, common sense. Like, holy cow. Yeah, meanwhile, we
Well,
find that we could have used our waste for growing gardens or something wise. No, it's just
yeah, other uses for it.
Let's put it in
Yep.
the lake. Yeah. Oh goodness.
Yeah. Well, Ron, some fish species, different types of fish have reputations in the indigenous world, and just like certain animals do, right? Like I know from some communities I've worked with, the wolverine's a sneaky sort of thief. It steals beavers from traps.
Yeah.
Are there any fish that have reputations? Are they known for any? Can you
Uh,
can you share
well,
anything with us?
the only thing I know about reputation in fish is my grandmother called all fish medicine. She
Yeah.
called all fish life. Fish is medicine. When she had an illness, it was like, we need to boil up this kind of fish. We need to eat the
Hmm.
stomachs of this kind of fish. We need that. Everything was about medicine. Fish isn't just
So it's
food.
not always plants that are medicine, eh? So fish
No,
too.
no, fish.
Okay.
And the oils that are in that fish, the broth, like
Yeah.
whitefish, and I was told whitefish and onions boiled, and you drink the broth is good for your heart. It's good for your
Hmm.
circulatory system. My grandmother swore by that, and she said, if you're not feeling good, you got to get fish broth in you, and lubricate your joints. Oh, I have sore back. My grandma would drink that fish broth and get the natural oils in her. Everyone else, I guess it came from the cod liver oil days. Like, here, take a spoonful of this. I was like, that's nasty. So I'll just drink the fish broth. Now I admit, when you see sucker heads bobbing around with eyeballs looking at you, that's a little bit nasty too in its own way. And it's kind of like, ooh, that's a little unappealing. But that's what my grandma always said. It's medicine. It's not just food. It heals you. Fish
Yeah.
have that's their reputation. They have healing properties, and that's why they got to be respected. And they're the older species. When you think about our time here
Yeah.
on Earth, it's just a speck, and whatever you believe how the world began, fish were here longer than us. They have been here for a long period of time, and that's why they carry the medicinal properties that they do. And of course they're attached to water, and
Yes.
water is life, right? We always hear this saying now, water
Yes.
is life. Water is the beginning. We're made of water. Everything is water, and
Yep.
these water-based creatures are powerful. Our medicine, our old ceremonies come from water. The turtle, the black cat that lived at the bottom, all the stories, everything that comes from water is our healing. That's where our medicine is at. That's where our life comes from. They say we rose from the water onto the land. If you believe in
Yes.
traditionalism, that's
Yep.
that's what we were taught. The clans that were organized by water beings. It was water beings that organized the land beings in our teachings. So that's where the power comes from. So when we think about reputation, um, fish equals strength. Mashkausuan. That's what fish are.
Mm-hmm.
Fish are strength. Fish equals mashkiki. It equals medicine. Fish equals bematizin. It's life. That's what fish are, and of course the water, as well, right? So I
Yes.
hold it in, I hold it in very high regard. I have all kinds of stories about aggressive. There's fish that are aggressive, and there's fish that's more docile, and but really, if you want to look at it at a spiritual level, at a life level, they're very, very valuable. And if we lose them, the world will never be the same. Like, if something was to
Yeah.
ever go wrong and we lose the water beings, we're in trouble, because they're the beginning, right? And
Yep.
our ceremonies are based on the turtle. Our shaking tent comes
Mm-hmm.
from the turtle and the frog, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, everybody nowadays, everybody wants to. I want to have a thunderbird name, and I want to be named after a bear. The power comes from the water. If you get named after something small that comes from the water, that's where the power's at. You know,
Yes. Well,
everybody
it's
thinks
funny,
it's
Ron, when we go to communities.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, when we go to communities and talk to community members, top of their list, Ron, water, quality, and fish. Every
yeah,
time. Every time.
yeah.
For good reason. Just like you talked about, right? Every time. That's what we hear. And, it's what about the water? How is this going to affect the water? How is this going to affect the fish? We need the fish for food, and, caribou as well, moose, all these.
Everything
This is
is reliant
everything,
on
right?
the land animals.
Yes.
Reliant.
Yep.
If water's poisoned, it's done. It's everything's
Yep.
over. The whole chain
Yep.
falls apart. And all these mighty beings that are roaming, the bear and the eagle and all that, they're done. Everybody's done.
Yep.
Like we are so
It's all
reliant on
connected.
this. Yeah, we're so reliant on water and fish, and sometimes it just gets minimized, and it makes me crazy because it's like this is something we got to really look after. and
Yeah,
and
it's
then you look,
fundamental, isn't it?
yeah, you look in the states, like the Colorado River is gone
Oh,
almost.
yeah.
Las Vegas has no water, and they're still churning it, and people are still moving there. I'm like, yeah, you're not getting it.
The
Like,
grass is still green there, isn't it?
yeah, it's like you got to. It's not supposed to have grass. It's the desert. That's
No,
why it's the desert.
that's
Stop
right.
putting things there that don't belong. Right, you're utilizing resources that you shouldn't be wasting. And
Exactly.
I just shake my head when I see that because I love Las Vegas, but it's like, stop messing with the water. You guys need that. It's important. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Ron,
Well,
this has been this great conversation, and I just
this
want to
one was
thank
more
you.
serious.
And it was, but yeah, yeah, exactly. Our radio show was a
Yeah,
little
radio
bit
show
off the wall.
was off the rails. We're just having fun. It was like, I'm supposed to be funny. I'm trying to do something like, I was like, no, we should be talking serious here because that's taking care of our land is number one. And if we don't, there's going to be other people, like you look in Alberta and places that people are the poisoned waterways and stuff. It's terrible. Like what's happened
Yeah,
to
no, you're
some
right,
place.
Ron. And Ron, hopefully you can join us at one of our events. We'd love to have you at one of our events. So we're gonna work on seeing if we can get you to come to one of our events, and because I think your perspective is just perfect for the kinds of things that we're trying to communicate. So thanks again for joining us. I just wanted to remind communities that there's a number of different ways that they can engage with us, and that's through focus groups or community sessions, in person or virtual, drop in sessions, teleconferences. We can go to your community and do a local radio call in show, or of course, we have online surveys. But before we go, Ron, I just wanted to mention that you've got a website, ronkanutski.com. That's RONKANUTSKI.com. And I invite everyone to visit his website and take a look at all the great things that he does, and maybe book for him to come and visit your organization and perform for you. Ron, any final comments before we go?
I just want to wish you all the best, and I want to wish the Nan territories success in taking care, sort of looking ahead into the future and taking care of something that's very valuable, and no matter what people offer, whatever money's thrown on the table, just remember that this is the most important resource you have, and everybody's going to come looking for it one day. Everybody's going to want what you have an abundance of, and that's clean drinking water. We already know
Yep.
we got fish. They're flying in from all over to come and get the fish. And if we keep nice checks in place, we're gonna have that forever. But if we don't take care of it, it's a resource that can just get wiped away, and we don't want that. So
Any
that's
final Ojibwe greetings?
Wow, I guess I just to say watch it to everybody, and it's thank you for joining us today. Miigwech kakinoe awananaki pisindayek. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us, and I hope everybody has a beautiful day and a wonderful tomorrow. Miigwech.
Thanks again, Ron. And to our viewers and listeners, we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Ron, hopefully we'll see you soon.
Sounds good.
Take care. Miigwech.
Take care.